I would like to welcome you all on behalf of RisiAlbania, a project of Swiss Development Corporation. So just a few things to begin with. This event is being recorded, as all of you just saw. It will also be live streamed on Facebook. So if you're uncomfortable with that, please turn off your cameras. But yeah, like this will be recorded. So please mute yourselves when you're not speaking. We will also be able to do that as we go along, but it will make the conversation easier. So I'm Clara. I will be moderating the event. I will also be the timekeeper for the event. Apologies in advance if I cut some of you short. We're just going to try to make sure that we keep the time to 1 hour and a half. We all are tired of these endless Zoom meetings, so we will really try not to take too much of your time. I would like to invite everyone to introduce themselves in the chat box in Albanian or in English, just so that we also hear from you who you are and where you're joining us from. It would be great to have that if possible. Also for the chat box, feel free to ask or to drop any thoughts that you have in there during the presentation. Thank you, Luciana. Now, if you can maybe share the agenda on the screen so that we quickly run through what's going to happen. I can then give the floor to our first speaker. So, yes, perfect. So as you can see in the agenda that you all have as well, I will just quickly run through this. We will have some welcoming remarks from our project director, Stefan Jos. This will be followed by a presentation by Diana Leka, who is the head of the Secretariat of the Investment Council. And she will present the digitalization state of the arts in a way in Albania through a study that the Investment Council has recently conducted on the acceleration of the digital agenda. Then we will have 40 minutes of a panel discussion. I will introduce our panelists as we go along. And at the end, we will be very happy if we can have a Q&A session with all participants. Feel free, if you're more comfortable, to put things on the chat. If you're comfortable speaking up, we will open the mics and everyone will have a chance. Whoever doesn't have a chance to get their questions addressed, we will pick up as well afterward. So yeah, I think that without further ado, I will give the floor to Stefan Jos from RisiAlbania.
Thank you very much, Clara, and a very warm welcome from Risi, from Helvetas. You know, we are a project of the Swiss Agency for Development Cooperation. I'm given 10 minutes. I could talk hours because it's one of the most exciting topics these days. If we would have asked 20 years ago parents about their child, asking, what do you think, what will be the profession? They never would have told us that she will be one day brand manager of social media. So a topic nobody ever could imagine, a profession nobody ever could imagine. And if we ask today, maybe they would say he will be a driver, but we are not knowing that in 20 years from now, drivers are no more needed. Cars, lorries are driven automatically. So these are developments that we cannot foresee. In RisiAlbania, for us, it is employment, the work, it's our core business. It's for young people. We look at it from qualification, what challenges are ahead, and we look at from the private sector, what possibilities do we have and where are critical issues. And the second is what we are going to discuss today, only 1.5 hours, unfortunately, but I'm very happy that we have this round with all very competent persons just to exchange on that. We see a little bit, we can read a lot these days about the jobs and the jobs of the future. We see that labor productivity has declined until now. now we are at the moment of eruption of a volcano. 5 years ago, everybody has seen the potential of e-commerce, but it was not used. And now we are starting to use e-commerce. So we are really at the kickoff of a very exciting development. And we have seen also, for instance, McKinsey, they did studies. They say 2% annual growth in average. And they say 60% of the growth comes from digitalization. So increasingly, this gets important. Now, I think that's enough for the beginning. I'm once more, thank you very much for joining us and looking very much to fruitful and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefan. So we will now move on to Diana Leka's presentation. She's the head of the Secretariat of the Investment Council. And as Stefan said, I just wanted to say that we're very much looking forward to everyone's questions and answers and opinions. We're here to learn from you as a project. So feel free to let us know how everything sounds as we get on, because we will make sure that we incorporate your feedback. So Diana, please go ahead.
So hello, everybody. I'm Diana Leka. It's a real pleasure to be here today and eager to meet with everybody as it was 1 year before. So I thank for the invitation from Risi, and have to say that it's a cooperation that started exactly in 2017, where Risi was advocated for competitive advantage of Albania in the BPO sector, and the Secretariat advocated for the quality of skills as an incentives of a local market to this type of globalization. It was just the first step, just advocating of this important issue, which today, as Stefan mentioned, is a kind of really everyday speaking about. So two words on us, we have worked on that, and I will go to present what have we received from the business perspective on innovation and digitalization. In 2019, we advocated for digitalization as one of the most important cross sectors for Albania, discussing on the model, what was for the country. So as of today, it is one of the most important sectors that will produce and generate revenues. I'm just sharing the screen and go directly to my presentation. It's okay, do you hear it? Do you see it?
We don't see it yet, Diana, or maybe I don't. So it's not on yet.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, now it's coming up. Yes.
Okay. So I put it a topic like for today, time to fully engage in, since we will have a panel of comments and discussion later on. So why now? And why it's so important to discuss it? Because we live under a moment of uncertainty, which is imposed by global digitalization and COVID time. So what is the key to catch up? What have to do from all sides? But first, let's have the same language in order to have the same, based on the same concept, the upcoming debate. We are speaking about digital economy that in sense incorporates all economic activity that rely upon digital input. We have technology, infrastructure, service, and data. That all of that are really using information and knowledge as very important inputs. What is innovation? It's related to creativity, new or significantly new product or service, which impact the organization method of the business, the value proposition of the business, internally and externally. And of course, the ecosystem of innovation, which is all the players that are indispensable, that this in a sense make it working on for the benefit of the people, of the business, and of the society. What we have done, we just ask the business how they deal with innovation in terms of practically how do they budget it, what are the issues in terms of human resources, of the technology, of the cost, how they feel the ecosystem in Albania, is it working on? what needs to be done, how the company CEOs consider the relation between their turnover and innovation. Do they see this as a potential for growth or as a threat? The debate, is it a threat or is it an opportunity from the top management? And then how do they practically have access to the potentials that are provided under the ecosystem funds under different channels. So at the macro level, very quickly, we are stable, no change in the last 3 years on the innovation index. On the SME policy, we have some good improvement in one component, but still we are the 5th out of 7th Western countries. COVID, we have a survey that we run in the support of Risi as well at that time that was like two major issues. One, business said we were not prepared for business continuity measures on the risk, and business confirmed that they will more and more use online services and they will invest more in technology. We have some good news on the rankings. Like last year, we moved 30 places on the startup ranking. And when we look at the local level on the sectors of digitalization, we see the traditional sectors, though they really in a sense contribute to the growth, are behind the potentials of digitalization and innovation. Maybe this is related to the CEO style of management, traditional wine, and there is a potential that they move to the digitalization. I'm speaking mainly for the large companies, but digitalization is also threatened for large and small companies due to the move in technology that it's not maybe to extend more comment on that. So on the policy level, we have a progress report that mentioned moderately the market is prepared to afford this due to the weak capacity of institutions and gap. We have a good message of the Prime at November 2021 mentioning that Albania could be a corner of digital services and electronics infrastructure. Why not? The era is coming with all the regional and global initiatives going on. We have so many policy documents already, you know, and also still we are so low in absorption of funds in terms of access to finance. So again, there is a fiscal, after the meeting that we've done together, it was a fiscal package that stimulated the profit with in the IT programming, that we have the recent data from customs that we have an increase of the 46% compared to 2018. The number of companies, the increase of the economic activity, and the number of employees by 23% in this sector. So as Stefan mentioned, it's a sector that is going to really contribute as an emerging sector. Very soon will be maybe so important for Albania. So what are the answers in terms of the business? Very quickly, we had major companies coming from the industry. We had mainly companies that are small, but large company as well, and large employer, those that really, that's why it's relevant what we consider to present today, and we have already presented, because they represent something in terms of the number and the shape of the companies, but also the sectors in Albania. We also had about 40 consultation in addition to the survey. So number one, do you see as a CEO connection between the investing in innovation and the turnover? We have a very good answer. About 80% confirm that they consider it as a potential to increase. There is a good understanding on that. They confirmed in the last 3 years they have introduced some actions into maybe a product, a service, or a project, but even maybe in marketing, some efforts in terms of the innovation. But the question is the learning, the knowledge. So we asked, what was the source of information for you? And the answer is own resources. About 40% say that we use our own resources, and the second is scientific articles, and universities are the last, and the Also, the government is the third one. But this is when it starts, the knowledge, the sources information and absorbing it. When we ask that, what do you use the as services used by other companies like POS, e-banking, it was a very good rate. 86% answered that they use it, but this is not sustainable. But about 86% said that, yes, we use it. What we ask, what do you consider to be the three main obstacles of innovation? You see that the first is the high cost of innovation, the second is the lack of funds, and also the lack of professionals, because it is a knowledge economy and professionals need to really get knowledge to be professional and include it in their daily language, daily doing living, daily making business style. uh, then the other component was on the employed training, and we see that the question, do you have, the question was specific, because we are speaking about the sustainable effort in regard to digitalization and innovation. So the era is coming. Do you have a sustainable fund for employee training? The answer is quite, I mean, 50% is a good rate. They say, no, we don't have it. And this is related to the threat that it caused the innovation in terms of the cost for the company. And 38% say three. We refer always to the companies that we had basically on the sample. How do you assess the willingness? I would like to mention this strongly. Even in 2017 that we worked together, we received from CEOs at the time the needs that the Albanian employers have for getting trained and for upskilling. And again, it is confirmed. About 76% confirms the fact that employers are very interested to invest in. What they do to afford the challenge of skills due to the COVID or earthquake or others? They say they are agile in increasing in training and in company solutions. So in trying to arrange issues within the company, these are most how they have solved the issues. Um, Another question, it was about fiscalization system, because it was an input from the government to see the reaction. And we were lucky having consultation that we led some a session on consultation on fiscalization. And you see the answer is very prepared, about 29%, and not at all prepared. But anyway, at the end is 50-50. Those that are really not at all prepared and those that are in favor fully or partly. So this is a kind of incentives as well that shows that the business really feel that it could be as well a good instrument to move on, but with the threats indeed. So what are the challenges? In short, from the ecosystem, that was the first pillar. As it was mentioned, it was not means to be clarified the leadership in leading the process from the institutional point of view than from the country level of view. There is an awareness about the impact on the business regarding e-Albania and public services offered, that they accept, acknowledge it, especially after COVID. About the triple helix, not at all functional. They mentioned the gap of data, because you need to have real data to make forecasting for investment in your jobs as well. For example, what is the number of people that are concluding the high school in the upcoming 3 years or in professional levels, as it should have been for this specific sector under this digitalization innovation in the Instat, not that it is not, but official data published by Instat by sub professions needed for this type of sectors need to be more granulated, and also a kind of link. We have comments from the business that in Tirana, but in Kosovo and other regions as well, saying that we have to look as well internally, not only globally. Yeah? So how to better consolidate the knowledge, local knowledge, to this global digitalization in order to be unique on what we can be competitive ahead. Uh, on the second component, that is entrepreneurship, uh, it's the lack of knowledge. I would like to mention that again. The competitiveness is related to the speed of learning and speed of application, testing, experimenting. It is there, but specifically, maybe here are not only startups that are mainly rather young people. We have as well large companies, the traditional one in the industry, that shows something in this finding. I would like to mention. Uh, it was a kind of well functioning of the market. We have comments from the private sector saying that is an informality. For example, it was good having this incentive for programmers, but from those that leading companies in the sector, they said that they have problems in terms of informality, because some of the programmers were under a different umbrella, or even sourced maybe outside, and there is a competitive in the market between informality and formalization. And also we see that if we are committed, we have to allocate some funds. It is a cost, but here it starts. It's the industry run by knowledge and speed of learning, so they had their own challenging. And of course human capital has its role, which is quite important. uh, so the other challenges is related to the access of finance. I would say also other grant funds. We are in a moment that there are so many projects going on for the country, and we have a low absorption of level. We spoke with banks, and they say that it's a problem of access due to the risk that the startup has. Um, this is a problem of awareness, and there is a platform now from AIDA that maybe you can find information about donors and forms, what is going on in order to provide opportunity of getting knowledge of the support. But still there are procedures that which for SMEs are a little bit complicated. For large companies could be easier to get in. Um, of course, the question of link between universities that run the R&D and the others issues that maybe it's not to be further discussed today, but also the looking at the gap between the demand and the type of the demand and the available funding supply. This I want to just to clarify a little bit. What's that? Is that the companies that like startups need support. The support from the bank is limited, and the local companies that are healthy, they are major industry run. So they go to the outsider that are in other countries. But why we cannot build even this kind of I say support within our investor together with of course the global one. But this has to be in a sense further discussed ahead, how we can further attract investors for these typical sectors of an industry. I think I am on time. Just two matters I want really to emphasize. Knowledge matters. Are we able to learn faster than others? In our surveys, it happens that Serbia and Kosovo were in the perception of the business that we cooperated, was the first in the region and were the best. How we can go further and stimulate the business exposure to innovative ideas through more education, investment in learning, media, how we can tackle the status quo. It's a threat, but it could be an opportunity to pivot, to experiment, to mitigate in what we are unique. So just in short, it's a unique moment to discuss how we can move faster. Like, for example, in a specific emerging sector, in smart specialization, it is the language used in this REA strategy active policy framework, in tourism, in agro, in health, in education. which are important for the future of the country. How we can increase absorption of regional funds from Albanian companies, because we see that number of Albanian companies applying in investment in a regional fund is increased, but it's not where it should have been, because when we compare to the when we were 5 years before. And the last question could be, this is a suggestion, in fact, from the 2 or 3 startups that are operating in the country. Maybe a time to look at some attraction of capital on digital priority sectors to mitigate the initial cost, and looking on investors that could help us to not be subcontracted from abroad for services, but have in Albania a real product, a real knowledge in terms of being Albanian, making really a center when this could really enforce, or I can say support other sectors of the economy to be where we should have been, with all the competitive advantages but also challenges that Albania has. I just want to close here. I hope, Chiara, I am on time. I speed up my and just this is just an example that I use as an economist to generate the debate. Agro is a sector that contributes 22% to value added, as very well, in a sense, afforded the COVID crisis. We have some well-positioned projects, but the value added should be increased in the country. We should not remain the warehouse for services that come from the world. We should have our local Albanian digital niche in the world and in the Balkan. And I closed with the question that I just mentioned. Thank you. And I hope I didn't take the time. Thank you.
No, you kept perfectly. Thank you so much, Diana. And I was taking notes as you spoke, because there's a lot of very interesting nuggets of information here. So for example, some highlights from what you said are related to drivers of digitalization. So you've mentioned COVID. Obviously, COVID meant that there was an explosion or an acceleration of businesses that decided that digitalizing part of their operations would allow them to overcome some of the restrictions of the pandemic, and that is very important. Fiscalization as well is a very important driver, and I think this survey is very interesting. Maybe we could share a link to it on the chat as well. I will do it after this. Okay, so Luciana will help us with that. So thank you so much. Other things that you've mentioned that are extremely relevant for the discussion that we're going to have is that you helped us come up with common definitions of what, or at least some pointers as to how we could jointly define digitalization. And you've highlighted that digitalization is not necessarily an end by itself, but it's a tool to increase the competitiveness of sectors such as tourism, or well, you mentioned agribusiness, but I also have tourism in mind because we have participants from the tourism sector. So, and you've raised the point of upskilling of the workforce, which is extremely relevant for all of us in our development projects, where you see the contradiction between businesses understanding the importance of digitalizing, but not having the necessary capacities in-house to make that happen. So I think now we will turn to the panel discussion. We will turn to solutions providers, to our private sector partners, who will give us some more insights into how digitalization is doing in the economy and what challenges they face. So we will start with Daniel Kazani from Softup. Softup is a software development company that is now investing in linking Albanian IT freelancers and clients abroad. So my question to Daniel, yes, I see you. Okay, hi, Daniel.
I'm here. Hi.
So my question to Daniel is, so we know that digitalization can bring together providers and clients by removing barriers to client acquisition. So what opportunities does this bring for Albanian IT service providers, and how can it affect the IT industry in Albania?
Right. Yeah. So we've actually, like, as at Softup, our core life cycle of the business happened like a little bit before COVID, and then now during COVID, and then hopefully, you know, going after that. So what we notice, I mean, there's this funny graph running around, you know, what drove digitalization in your company, and it's like the CEO, the CTO, or COVID, and then most people obviously choosing the pandemic as being the main driver. But it's unfortunately or fortunately true what happened. And now you have a lot of companies abroad or even internally that already have these systems set up. So meaning they have their Slack system set up, they have their remote infrastructure set up, they have the Zoom call set up. So they're actually already set up to work remotely. And as a service provider, this does wonders to you, because before, you know, when you talk to clients, they were always looking to develop something in-house. Usually they prefer to have ownership of the programs or the applications that they're building. But nowadays, you know, because they're hiring remotely anyway, the barrier to entry is very low. So let's take an example, like a company wanting to hire in Berlin. They're flexible to hire remotely. So instead of just hiring Berlin, they can hire anywhere. They can hire from Tirana as well. And this has impacted us in terms of making it easier to approach these clients and offering them the same level of service, but maybe being even more competitive, and has helped us grow. And it's not just us. I mean, if you look around the market, you know, there's a lot of new companies, a lot of buzz, and a lot of companies being created, whether it's, you know, established foreign companies opening offices in Albania, or there's small Albanian entrepreneurs hiring a small team to support their projects, or existing players that have been there before but now have expanded during this time. And again, it's just, it goes back to the infrastructure being set up worldwide. So all companies now, or at least ICT companies, which, you know, service providers tend to work with, have some sort of remote infrastructure that is open, that you can integrate with as a partner, as an Albanian partner. And the beauty is, you don't need to be in Italy to serve Italian clients. You don't have to be in Germany to serve German clients. You don't have to be in the United States to serve US clients. And that leads to your next question, like the opportunities, right? So it's actually has never been easier to start out a project, you know, a service, to become a service provider, and it's backed up by the numbers. So every time I go on the social media or LinkedIn and I see companies that are hiring, there's always new names, you know, new faces in the industry, which is making the market, of course, more mature. But also it's creating very different dynamics. So of course, now companies need to up their game. They need to become more professionalized, more certificates. They need to provide better training, more, let's say, better conditions for their employees. And this is what's happening basically throughout the industry. And for Albania specifically, again, it's never been a better time to start. Now, how does this affect let's say the whole industry? Let's say the talent pool is going through some transformation. So ICT generally, if we go back maybe 5 to 10 years, wasn't so hot. It was not like such a buzz. And now, you know, you have a lot of young developers and, you know, male and female, really going into the industry and embracing it. And it's a cool profession now. You know, it's part of the cool kids, so to say. Yeah, so more and more you have training programs, you have universities, you know, helping these students to join these new fields. You have companies becoming more serious with their roles and descriptions and more professional, how they market themselves and the conditions that they offer to all of these developers. And it's not just developers, I'm talking IT professionals as a whole. And as a result, not just, you know, talents are getting more competitive, but also companies themselves, because they need to improve their services. It's not a matter of, you know, you're an IT company and you provide the same service. You need to continuously disrupt yourself with new technologies, more relevant technologies that apply to the markets that you're trying to handle. And it also has led to more certifications. So basically higher qualifications. So as a company, you know, before maybe you wanted to build a small application or a small mobile app. Now you're taking care of platforms. So you want to build, you know, well-structured, safe, secure platforms for companies worldwide. And this is not an easy task, and it's not a task that you can acquire just because you have a nice website. You really need to have the qualifications that backs it up from an IT security perspective, from a, let's say, cloud perspective, from any ISO standards that companies might have. So it's really leading to a, let's say, maturity, really, it's what it is, of the whole sector, be it from the company side, but also being on a small, let's say, talent pool side.
I think, thank you so much. And this is a very interesting point that is very close to RisiAlbania's heart, the importance of certification and of, yeah, professionalizing some of the company practices that take place here. So now Softup has given us an overview, or Daniel from Softup has given us an overview of how it is to use digital solutions to serve clients abroad. We will now turn to a more Albanian looking side of things. Thank you, Linda Shomo from EasyPay, for joining us today. I think EasyPay doesn't need a lot of introduction, but still, they're a digital payment platform that has created products that improve the financial inclusion of SMEs in Albania. And our question to you today is also based on some issues that Diana raised around the role that digitalization can play to increase Albanian firms' competitiveness or market access. So what trends have you observed in terms of Albanian clients' adoption of financial technology solutions? And have you seen whether COVID-19 has affected that? And then, like, from your company's perspective, what challenges and opportunities do you foresee moving forward?
Thank you, Clara. Thank you for inviting me in this panel. I'm always happy to talk about digitalization, and especially for fintech sector. Before coming to talk about fintech sector in Albania, I would like to mention a little bit what is happening worldwide about fintech. Coming back to our world, fintech is, or I'm talking about a revolution. So the first quarter of 2021 was the strongest quarter ever, with around $95 billion merger and acquisitions in fintech sector and 21 deals being above $1 billion. So you understand what kind of revolution we are talking about in the financial sector. For those who are not familiar, so fintechs are all those the technology companies or financial companies that are investing in innovative solutions, bringing new solutions in the financial sector. The key technological drivers are, as in other sectors as well, so it's internet and the shared economy and mobile penetration, which is a key factor for Albania as well, because we have a high mobile penetration in Albania, so this is an opportunity. There are as well artificial intelligence, cloud computing, blockchain technologies. So all these are revolutionizing fintech sector worldwide. So what is going on in Albania? On the other hand, we have, you mentioned in your question, so financial inclusion is a big challenge for us because according to World Bank statistics, 60% of the population is still unbanked, meaning that doesn't have a bank account. This has been the main focus of EasyPay since the beginning of our activity, how to reach this 60% of the population, at least with payments. So how can technology bring these people near to the financial sector? And we have been going pretty well as a company, I mean, but as a sector, we are still underdeveloped. According to the latest research done by World Bank and University of Cambridge last year in 2020, even all Balkan region is underdeveloped yet, comparing with other parts of the world. There are around 65 fintechs in Balkan, while in Albania there are only 11. So it is just a small number. Even from these 11, I think that maybe 5 or 6 are active fintechs. So we are quite few, mainly focused on payment sector as EasyPay is, but as well there are other companies offering new innovative solutions in lending, etc. But still missing a lot of other type of fintechs that I'm expecting to come in the next year, like RegTech or InsurTech or peer-to-peer lending. So we are expecting all these new technologies and fintechs coming soon. Why am I'm so optimistic? And what are the main challenges of fintechs in Albania? One of the main challenges is access to data. So in order to provide new financial services, you need to have data and to process this data and to offer new solutions to the end customers. But this data has not been so easy to access, especially in the financial sector that it's a very conservative sector. But recently there have been some improvements in regulatory and new laws. So 2020 in Albania was not known only for COVID, but as well for opportunities, because new laws came into power, like the new payment law, which is going to open opportunities for fintechs and for banks as well, offering new solutions, which has entered into force in 2021, and we are expecting soon to apply for based on the new bylaws coming from Central Bank of Albania. Other challenges, access to government data as well and to government system, because especially in the payment sector, you are between the buyer and the seller. So in order for us to bring new services, we need to have access in all these digital services that are offered in the market, but sometimes is not so easy. Another challenge that we face is access to capital. I mentioned in the beginning some of the figures, what are happening all around the world. So fintechs, in order to be successful and to bring change to the market, they need to be backed up by investors, which is not the case for Albania yet. There are different reasons, but we are hoping this to change. Hopefully, we have Diana here. I think that Investment Council might help us in the future as well to connect investors with startups and with fintechs as well. We have, apart from this new law, as I mentioned, new payment law, as well as the new law for cryptocurrencies that I think is into force already in 2021. So we are expecting much more fintechs coming into the market. And based on what I talk with our network every day, they are coming soon into the market. So competition is good for everyone, especially for the financial sector that has been very traditional, and the cost of the financial services has been quite high. So we are expecting with these changes and this entering into the market of new fintechs, the cost of payments, the cost of other or lending will be much lower.
Thank you so much, Linda. And I'm seeing on the chat, there's a very interesting point around...
I'm open to answer any question that might be from the audience.
We will keep that question actually for the question and answer session, because it has to do with the availability of payment solutions for different industry players, including, for example, PayPal, which is an issue that we've seen with some of our partners. But thank you so much. Great to hear that you see not only the challenges, but also the opportunities that there are for more financial inclusion in the market moving forward. So we will now move to Valer Pinderi from NetTrade. So if Linda has presented to us the opportunities in terms of financial inclusion, NetTrade are an e-commerce platform that are linking Albanian producers with buyers through e-commerce solutions. So we're going to explore with him what role digitalization can play to maximize Albanian product sales in Albania, and what constraints NetTrade foresees in terms of increasing Albanian sales of Albanian products in Albania.
Hello, Clara. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here. I have experience in e-commerce since 2011, and I always am thinking, and I was thinking why Albania is so late in this digitalization or in this sector, which is now being the normal way of doing business in America and Europe. And I saw that the main problem is not the customers, as other company told me when I enter in the market, because the customer is ready. We saw in the pandemic situation that they all take their e-Albania pass card to go outside. So everyone in Albania has done an e-commerce transaction. It's the same, I think. But still we are not developed, and this is the problem about the companies which are in the sector. So we are the problem. I am one of the problems in the sectors. With me is everyone else. So what we can do to increase the digitalization in this sector is to improve our companies, to improve our capabilities and our knowledge in this sector, so we can offer a quality to customers that they will appreciate and they will take it. If we do this, then the customers will start buying online for domestic websites, but also we can sell outside Albania, which is a huge market and can change everything in Albania, because then we have a market that we never had before. So no one in Albania had the opportunity to be in a worldwide market, but in e-commerce is the same. We are in the same distance with our customers, like we will be in Middle East or in every other country, because we are connected with the internet, and we send the product with post offices, not by ourselves. So what we are doing now is that we are, because why is this happening? There are two main reasons that this is happening. The first reason is that this is new. And since this is new, every company needs to understand and to learn new things, which is difficult, and it needs people who are willing to understand very fast new things. So this is mostly done from new company. That's why the old company or the company that are already in the market are not taking this opportunity, but new company like my company or other new company are taking this opportunity and are dominating the market, like Amazon have done with retail. Even while Sears and Walmart were very big compared to Amazon, they have now dominated the market. And since there are new things, for us it's easier to learn, because we don't have something else to dislearn. The other thing is that this kind of business needs economy of scale, because it's a business in which different kind of capabilities, which are very different from each other. For example, digital marketing, programming, customer care, logistics, operational. They are all different kind of knowledge and capabilities. They all need to be together and to be very good systems, so they can operate productively together. And this needs economy of scales, because we need a lot of people to do this. What we are doing now is that we are putting all our knowledge and capabilities to small businesses which they don't have the resources, or they don't have the processes or the people to do this all by themselves. We are giving the possibility with just a minimum amount of with just €25 per month, so they can have a website, an e-commerce platform, but it's not that just the e-commerce, because that is very easy. What they have with this amount is that they have our knowledge. We are giving to them, to all of them, training. We are now registering this training, so we can send to them as soon as they register in our websites. But the other thing is that we are giving to them, we are pushing them to understand better digital marketing, to understand better the importance of content and other things that they need to improve in their capabilities. And since we are taking them with our journey, they are trying to improve, and they are trying to improve their capabilities, but they have us on their side, so we can guide them where to focus and what to do better, so they can increase better. Because for me, the most important thing now is not the competition, but the increase of their capabilities. If the companies in Albania are better in e-commerce, then my company will be better because all the market will be better, and we will have more opportunities in the market.
Thank you so much, Valeria. I think that you raised some very interesting points. And maybe for another discussion, we also have to think about the topic of logistics, because I think it's very linked to what you're saying. But let's not sidetrack, because I think you raised some really interesting points. For example, the fact that companies like NetTrade are the problem, quoting you, but in our opinion, they're also the solution. So whatever comes will come from the private sector. You've made a very important link to the topic of knowledge intensification, which is something that Diana also raised in her presentation. We need more knowledge in Albania. And you've also highlighted the importance of linking companies not only to Albania consumers, but also to global markets. And I think that's a very nice transition to our next question for our next panelist. So Elisa Chirogu from We Are Fiverr, which is a business process outsourcing firm that is investing in value-added services. So welcome, Elisa.
Thank you, Clara.
The question we had for you today was, so we know that Fiverr is working on disruptive technologies. Linda mentioned some of them, so robotic process automation, artificial intelligence. Do you see Albanian companies using such solutions? So is there, for a company that is global, like We Are Fiverr is there a market in Albania for your services?
Thank you, Clara. Very glad to be here and to share our experience regarding the innovation of the private sector. And congratulations to RisiAlbania first to bring this topic, very important, on how to stimulate further digital economy in Albania. Well, I would like just to emphasize all the points that our previous panelists brought, because as We Are Fiverr, we find ourselves in every expression from them that actually was brought here. Well, I would like to start from the second question. So if we see a market here, well, for the robotic process automation, machine learning, AI intelligence, there is market everywhere, because the importance actually of this typology of disruptive technology is that they can be used in every type of vertical of the industry. So they can be adapted in the public institutions and in the private sector. So they are so flexible to be adapted, and it's such a pity that we are still not using in Albania this typology of innovation, because some years ago, actually, the typology of these kind of technologies were limited and impossible to be adopted, and automation of such repetitive and boring process or unproductive activities that were carried by the staff uh, was not possible some years ago. But actually, with the last 10, 15 years, automating processes are used abroad very frequently, and the percentage of further using actually shows that that will be with a very huge of increasing. So the Albanian market is not using at the moment this typology, let's say, with an attractive to be a competitor with the other companies abroad. And actually this affects their productivity, their efficiency, also their budgets, because with the robotic process automation and other and machine learning and AI, the benefits of the company regarding timing, regarding finance, regarding also the efficiency is high. So actually, the companies in Albania will have only benefits using this typology of innovation. But if we do the business model of as is and to be, the fact is that now this using percentage is very, very low.
What
And
is to be? Sorry, for those of us who don't know.
In the business model process, all the companies do, but actually also the public government should do the situation actually as it is now, and how it should be to construct then the process on the goals for the to be. So if we are doing now the as is process, we can see that the private companies in Albania are not adopting this typology of innovation, but we have had also figured that we have had a lot of problems to find actually employees who are able to use the softwares and to have the certifications regarding this typology of innovation. So we have then done by ourselves the academy to train the people and to give them the possibility to have the certification with the standard of big companies abroad, and to be able to expand our activity abroad. But we are also trying to have collaborations also with the Albanian market. With Tumo, actually, we'll like to, we have started to have some collaboration regarding the new, the youth in Albania that are trained, then actually are employed from us. And we are trying also to have connections with other companies as us in Albania, to have, let's say, a small networking by ourselves and to understand how to be more competitive in this market.
Great. Thank you so much, Elisa. And I think that you raised a topic that keeps coming up in different presentation, which is the one of skills of the employees in the companies, because the more skilled people there are in things like e-commerce or new innovative technologies, the more demand there will be for also services from companies like yours. And I guess one thing that also comes to mind from what you say is the idea of like economies of scale. Like we all know that Albania is a small fragmented market in many ways, but companies like yours can also benefit from more consolidated demand. So these are very interesting topics that we can explore. So our last panelists are from Protik, which is a non-for-profit ICT research firm that aims to promote the development of ICT solutions in Albania. So we have with us, I'm not sure if we have Erion Nako or Erika Gravochka. Whoever is here, please say hi. If you're here. Erion. Yeah, okay. Hi, Erion. I see you now. Can you hear us, Erion? I think maybe we have a bit of an issue with Arion's contribution. Yeah, you're muted, Arion, and we don't see you. So I don't know if it's, now we see you. I think you can hear us. So while you sort out your mic, I will ask you a question that we had for Protik. So we've seen in Diana's presentation that CEOs believe that it's important to invest.
Sorry, I have a problem technically with unmute. It was blocked.
Can you hear
But
us
it's all fine. Yes, I can do hear
okay,
you.
awesome.
No,
So,
it was also no problem. It was just I couldn't unmute. It was locked for a while.
Okay, well, glad that you sorted it. So we saw in Diana's presentation that CEOs believe that it's important to invest in innovation and technology because they see that as a way to increase their turnover. But at the same time, they only occasionally budget for this in their business plans. So from Protik's side, why do you think that is? Is it because of the affordability of digitalization solutions? Is it because of awareness? Is it because of capacity, which has been coming up as a topic in different interventions? Why is it that CEOs know but don't invest in a way?
Okay, thanks for that opportunity to join today. It was touched somehow from the presentation of Mrs. Leka in the beginning. And then we have even discussed before with Linda in our webinars previously that there is a huge necessity for change in digitalization, especially in MAC region, I would say, because here we was mentioned as well Serbia that was doing great efforts towards that. But still, we are, I would say, way behind in order to increase the level of capacity and as well invest and make it a priority of our culture in management culture to make reservation of budget or to allocate budget, as it was said, for technology. It should be coming something like COVID, the people, especially CEOs, COOs, not CFOs, because they believe IT is a spend of money. And to start and return or getting a focus point in what technology can help them, how technology can help them. So maybe where you have seen in the net, it has been especially in social media, has been a big meme, like meme we call it, that who was the biggest digital transformation of your company, CTO, CEO, or COVID? And for sure that COVID has made a huge effect on their mind, on their concept. It is missing awareness, yes. It is missing a concept of how we're going to do and transform it and change it, yes, of course. There is miss of their culture, typical culture for educating in the in enabling the whole environment, yes, of course. So we have to work all together to educate the market here that they have to get the focus on investing in technology. Albanian CEOs, or let's say the Albanian environment of big companies, are now moving towards this concept. It is not a strategic thing done yet that ICT and innovation should arrive there. There are very good examples in the market, I can say, not only talking for mature environment like telcos and banking and other industries, but I'm speaking also SME sector is working towards that. Still, we have a lot of things to work with and to educate more and more and show them the examples that using technology and working with technology can improve the quality and you can deliver more. We have as well the other part that not only the management, but also the mid-level is another layer of executives that should be educated, because the CEO or C-level cannot be educated or cannot be raised awareness by himself. We need the change management to happen as well. What we need is we have also to work from the top down, sorry, from the down to top, to create ideas to put innovative ideas, to talk more and more about artificial intelligence and machine learning and new things and IoT and drones and all the things. So other thing and other point, to educate the young generation that joining the new company, the companies of Albania in their education, from education sector, sorry, to have that concepts. We are facing it now with the academy that we raised here in Protik for coding languages or programming languages. And we see that still in the Albanian universities, we have lack of knowledge for these new techniques. I'm talking for quality assurance, I'm talking for machine learning. Cybersecurity is a big effect that has to be imposed into the Albanian ICT ecosystem. Going back again to the company culture of the companies or corporate culture in Albania to invest on ICT or to invest on technology or digitalization, whatever you would like to call it. For sure that we have to get the lesson learned from COVID this year that if you don't invest, your business will be down. You will lose it. There is no business continuity plan, you will not continue. If you cannot have a backup plan, if something happened to your main site, you cannot continue to run it. If your production lines are locked, you cannot continue. If you have a transportation and logistics problem, like we faced it last year with the lorries and with the trucks and with the ports and harbors and airplanes, everything can happen in a world that is becoming more and more risk-oriented. So necessity is to invest in connectivity first. And I think now all of the top executive people in Albania understand that we should have lines and backup lines. We should have 100 meg internet on the company. We should have Wi-Fi hotspots. We should make available our main, or let's say whole staff of the company should work hybrid, work from home, working in both version of in order to make the thing operational. All these lessons that coming to the executives of Albania are something that we are trying in our everyday business to talk and to speak and to discuss more and more, to make them feeling that there is something that is going to happen, it will happen, is happening, and you have to do it because the others can survive if they have it in place before you. So these are the things that I would like to put into this discussion today.
Thank you.
I'm really open to see the questions that will come up after this short discussion I have, and really eager to see what kind of let's say feedback we will have from other panelists or also from the rest of the participants today. Thank you for having me today here, and would like to be in furthermore discussions like that or open discussions. Okay. Thank you, Clara.
Thank you. Well, first, thank you very much for raising some important points. For my colleagues at Risi, I don't know whoever is sharing the screen that you're sharing the screen, so maybe stop that. But yeah, so some of the things that you raised are that digitalization is not a choice; it's a necessity for survival.
It's a must.
It's a must. Now, I wonder how clear that message is for all businesses in Albania or for businesses below a certain size. But maybe we can discuss that.
We can discuss that.
We can discuss that. I think that also you mentioned that information and bottom-up solutions are one of the ways to increase
to start improving it. Yeah, to listen the voice of the employees and see how they think it. Customer experience in Albania is another thing which I didn't raised here. Yes. And customer experience should be listened more and more.
Exactly. So lots of very interesting points. Now we start the last part of our agenda. First, thank you very much to all the panelists for participating and for keeping time. It's been fantastic. I haven't had to be rude to anyone, so thank you. Now, as I put on the chat, if anyone is comfortable speaking up, just raise your hand or say on the chat that you want to speak. We will give you some time to raise a point or ask a question or disagree. Please disagree with whatever has been said. We're happy to hear different points of view. Now, we will go through some of the questions that were included in the chat. The first one, Diana, would be for you, as it was during your presentation. One of the participants wanted to know, in terms of the enabling environment for digitalization, if there are any measures to ensure the safety of the data. And I guess this relates to information security. So the way I understood the question is related to this, to data safety.
Okay. Data protection has been one of the key issues raised during during our surveys. It's a sustainable issue. There are so many steps undertaken by, I think, basically by the public institution. But maybe I'm not the right person to give the right answer on that. I may ask maybe the legal expert Elvis, if he's online, if he can provide some input on that. Elvis, do you hear me? But still, this is an issue that is quite important to be further to look at.
Sorry if I can assist with that, if Diana would allow me to do this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Okay, raising or discussing about the data security, especially nowadays, is a big topic, I would say. Especially on the business side, we have to, let's say, or enabling the environment for that, but we have to, first of all, go and check, or let's say, go and discuss furthermore for the awareness that companies has. On public sector, there are done a lot of some good steps for creating the cybersecurity awareness, and especially through the connections that are done between the whole intersection ministries and data management part that is part of the governmental sector. We have today, maybe, I don't know if we have some representative from ACTESC, that is the National Institution for Data Security, for the cybersecurity in Albania. Meanwhile, going to the companies, to the private sector in Albania, there are good efforts done, especially on banking and telcos, as I mentioned before, that are certain level of companies that have created the standard based on ISO and further level GDPR and so forth. But on SME level, and furthermore, I would say on mid-level to small, medium companies, we are not where we have to be. We have a lot of things to improve. We do have, first of all, sharing of the data, which is quite risky, I would say. Especially access on the cloud should be very well organized and kept. Social medias are a big threat. Meanwhile, it has to be regulated also, the access on the internet. And for this, ACEP has done good efforts so far, but still there is a huge space to improve. It's a huge gap, I would say, with the companies. Of course, the improvement, it takes time. We have a big gap because we improve the technology immediately without facing what world has done before. We don't have much legacy systems, but to implement the new ones, the new systems immediately, you should have also security. I would tell you here, for sure, there are other people that are taking care of security. We do not have in every company firewalls in Albania. ICT systems are hosted. Most of the security is trusted on ISP level, which are providing internet. And specialized people are missed. So all these are bringing to a level that data security, information security, cyber security, which is a very big topic, there is a big space for improvement in Albania.
And I think that those are very important points. And we have pasted on the chat a few resources. Yes, thank you for sharing that on the screen. Like, there's a link to that case study that I've just put on the chat. And we have another 2 case studies from RisiAlbania. Of course, we're not the only donor or the only partner, but there's a lot of information around this. So I think we will move now to the next point. It's not exactly a question, and I don't know, Ricardo, if you would prefer to raise it yourself. If not, I'm happy to read your comment for the panelists, because it is an issue that a lot of our tour operator partners are raising. Okay, I will do it. So Ricardo is a tour operator, and his point is that Albanian companies struggle with limited access to payment processors. So PayPal is often the only option that accepts credit card payments for abroad, and access to other established international solutions such as Stripe, Braintree, or WebPay, which are well integrated with apps or software that tour operators use, is not available. So this is a very concrete example of where digitalization could help a sector of the economy. Here, I would like to hear our panelists' views on this. I don't know if, Linda, I know this is not exactly your topic, but it would be great to hear your point on
that. I can answer to this question. This is like a chicken and egg question, because the big players are looking for big markets, and Albania is considered for them just a small market, and for most of them as a high risk country. So not only Albania, but PayPal, even PayPal. We use PayPal, but very limited, so not with full option of PayPal. PayPal, as far as I know, is not working fully with one of the banks. So it works through credit cards with the Albanian market. So they are expecting for our market to grow. So their interest of the big players, it's not high for entering in Albania. And I'm telling this from my experience of these last 10 years, when I've been in contact with these big players, asking them for cooperation, trying to attract them to cooperate and enter in Albanian market. But unfortunately is not the case yet. But for sure, but meantime, we know that e-commerce and m-commerce has just started. So we are really talking about a small market, even though we would like to, and we are optimistic that this market will grow very quickly, but it's a very small market. We as local players, for sure, we pay based on our license. So we would like to expand our activity in other countries. But as I mentioned, due to regulatory restrictions, it's not so easy. So in order for us to operate in other markets, even, for example, Macedonia or Kosovo, which are the same culture, the same mentality, so it's not easy. We need to get license in every country that we operate in Balkan, which has been a point of discussion for in other forums, talking about the Balkan as a whole market. It will, I think that we as local player need to grow in order to expand our portfolio of services, as well as the big players we will see in few years coming, as soon as they see some figures about the e-commerce and m-commerce in Albania. For the moment, we do offer payments only in LEC, and we do provide different kind of payments, and the banks are offering credit card payments. Penetration of credit card payments, especially in the tourism sector, is still low. And this is related not only to the cost, etc., but it's related as well to the financial education. So there are some homeworks that need to be done, not only waiting for the big players to come, but we need to develop our market itself, and you will see that these big players will come immediately, but they are waiting for some figures.
I'm skipping a couple of questions because it's just linked to what you just said, Linda. There is a question that says, besides foreign players, what are local players doing to adapt subscription models? since subscriptions are key to creating business models for young startups. So what is your opinion on that?
It's good. It's good for the customer, and it's something that customer want, but it's good for us as well. So we would like to offer such products. But for example, we are related with our EasyPay customers that can load EasyPay account via debit or credit cards. We have been looking from banks to offer cards on file. So it's kind of service that can be offered by banks only. And so far, we couldn't find any bank that offers cards on file option. So there is a kind of communication between financial institutions and banks. As soon as they can provide us such service, for sure, we will be open for subscriptions.
There's a lot going on, I think, here. We're missing some banking people in this session because it seems to be coming up a lot. Now,
infrastructure need to be consolidated. So
right.
there are banks and financial institutions need to cooperate much more with each other. But hopefully, with the open banking opportunities that the new law will bring soon, we are very optimistic. So we
Right.
don't have to wait for credit cards on file and other options from Visa or MasterCard. We need to develop our local financial market, meaning cooperating all the financial institutions with each other.
Okay, great. So now moving a little bit to another topic, there's a question for Erion and Valer. So the private sector in Albania makes limited use of digitalization in their production and service processes. So how can ICT providers sell more of their solutions to the Albanian private sector? Maybe we start with Valer, yeah?
Yeah. I think it's the same as we are trying to do with our customers. It's to make it more clear about the value proposition that they offer to the businesses. And if it's not clear, the CEO of that kind of business, they need to try another way of showing that value proposition. I don't think there is some CEO that don't want the best for their company. It's just that they don't think this kind of digitalization is the best for them, and they don't see the value proposition. So if it's clear to them, then I think we can use it. For example, now I'm trying to put a service for security. I need to understand the value. I know that it's a very big issue, the security in our company, but I need to have costs and profit to have clear, because I have a lot of other direction where I can invest my money, and not all of them have the same return. So I need to be clear on this. So it's the security company part to make it clear for me and to make me buy. It's the same like I'm trying to do with e-commerce customers. We are trying to show them the value that we add for them. And if they don't understand, we try another way, and then it's another way until we will be dominating this market, or not, but we will try until then.
Right. Thank you.
Sorry, Valerie is mentioning now, is raising the topic only for the, let's say, the e-commerce or the new modern services. Traditionally, Albania has been based on the local ICT market. So the whole main services has been delivered locally. Then when market gets open around 2005, 2007, when the new operators and businesses came, the infrastructure was almost completed from the local ICT. When we are going to go on certain level, talking for ERP, CRM, advanced services, sales, digitalization, e-commerce, then the market is becoming a little bit more open and wider. why Albanian ICT or how Albanian ICT can be more or sell more. First of all, they have to innovate themselves. Their teams have to be adapted. They have to put more and more services. In Albania, there are two typical pillars of ICT. Is the traditional companies of Albania that serve the local market, and there are the companies that are serving the international market. This is mainly on software and business process outsourcing. The typical traditional ICT ecosystem of Albania has to be re-innovated itself. They have to train the staff, they have to educate more the staff, they have to put new topics on this to become more attractive. Secondly, market is very competitive, and they have to take care of the competitors from Kosovo, Macedonia, Serbia, regionally, and then internationally that can come one day and can get everything. Third one is to adapt new technologies, to become fast as they can, and to take out themselves a little bit more from the hardware, which is a typical traditional business ICT model that is going to die, to adapt cloud, to put the new concept of DevOps, and furthermore, invest more in cybersecurity. But this has to be on parallel with education of the market, what Linda said. So Linda is a typical example today that how a company has educated the market, is grown with the market. There is a typical thing that have to be or have to happen, or we have to happen today, that ICT ecosystem has to educate the market in order to get business from the market. Otherwise, the market will always say, we are doing well, we don't want any more IT. Secondly, which I think is very important, is to become more competitive, price-wise and knowledge-wise. We have had a big impact.
I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but like just in the interest of time, there is one person who also wants to add their thoughts, Dorian Malai. So Arian, we will hopefully as a follow-up.
No worries.
But Dorian, I don't want to be the only one speaking. Since you want to speak, please share your thoughts. And very briefly, we only have 2 minutes, and then we can close this session and follow up offline. So.
Yes, in 2 minutes then. My name is Dorian, and I'm the owner of a tour operator based in Albania. It's called Sonder Travel. And I'd like to mention a few things from tourism point of view. So we are talking about e-commerce, transactions online, but it's an overall concept. I want to give you my impression and viewpoint from tourism point of view. So within tourism, some of the participants in this meeting actually are inbound tour operators. That means that we sell tours and services to international tour operators when it comes to Albania and the Balkans. Within this framework, we work in 2 levels, B2B. That means that we sell tours and services, travel packages to international tour operators. For this, most of the time, we don't need any e-commerce capability, anything that has to do with e-commerce. We send a proposition with a price quotation to an international tour operator, and then the international tour operator deals with their clients. But there is an ongoing trend currently when it comes to day tours and activities, things that can be booked online immediately. And usually the client is either looking for these services prior to their coming to the destination, that means 48 hours before coming or 24 hours before they come, or when they are in destination. This is when e-commerce becomes important. The way how this is being played worldwide, it's when it comes to marketplaces as a form of service. So what could be beneficial for us, local players, that means activity providers in Albania, local tour operators, small or big, is if they can have a marketplace where they enter and they don't need to deal with how to develop their own capabilities, but these capabilities are already embedded into this marketplace. And that's where we give our services. So that's where we are right now in this travel ecosystem.
Thank you, Dorian. And Next time, please speak beforehand so we have a bit more time to follow up on this. My lesson from this is that it's always very good to bring together ICT providers or solution providers and users, such as businesses. And probably we can do more of that at Risi, because great ideas always come from these exchanges. So thank you, everyone. We will close this session to respect everyone's time and agendas. Please send us any follow-up questions that you have to RisiAlbania, or if you would like to be introduced to any of the panelists, we can also arrange that. My colleagues already put in there the address. Thank you, everyone. I wish you all a great day, and see you around. And thank you very much, Diana, and all the panelists.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.